Mishal, first of all, we just finished wrapping up season two. And what I wanted to do to give the audience just a bit of context into why you decided to start this podcast from the beginning and why was it family business that is the area that you feel, because you have a lot of experience, mashallah, across many different things. You could talk about a lot of different things, but what was it about or why is it family business that you felt this was the area that you really wanted to focus on?
Um, I hate saying this because I live and breathe family business. It's part and parcel of my DNA in terms of being part of a family business that's been in existence since 1890. But I wanted to be able to talk about family business from a different angle than most people talk about the family businesses, because the focus in a family business, and when you go to events or if you read books, etc., with very few exceptions, talks about how successful they were and how wonderful they are and how easy it is to go and how great it is to be in part of the family business. And I'm thinking, I know there are those aspects and everyone talks about those aspects. But what about the horrible side of the family business, where you can't sleep, where people are constantly attacking you, where you're wondering what's going to happen next? I mean, in a family business, I usually tell, okay, the two things I usually say when people ask me, I ask them and they say I'm part of a family business. The two things. First, if you want to join a family business, I literally, and I used to tell my students this, run far away, go, just go away. Because you will never find peace. It'll drive you nuts. And they usually think, haha, and eventually later they come back and email me saying, oh, I wish I listened to you. Sometimes it's just, please. I suffered, I don't want you to suffer. The other one, in a family business, is there are only two places you want to be in a family business. Either you are the bottom, where, nobody cares about you, you don't count worth anything, and you go home and you can sleep. You can eat, sleep, and do whatever you want to do, and nobody bothers you. Or you're at the ultimate pinnacle, the top. But then you're giving up sleep. You're worried what's going to happen. You're worried, does anyone really care for you? Are they cheating? Are they lying? Am I doing the right thing? And it's a constant worry, and sleep becomes at a premium. And everything in between is a constant fight, wanting to go up and I wanted to come down. Think of it, if I was to give you an example, if you were a football team in the Premier League. When you're at the pinnacle, everyone's aiming at you and you're worried you're not going to stay there. And if you're at the bottom, you're worried you're going to be relegated. But, yeah, it's not something I'm going to die over. Yeah, I'm fine with it. But you see, you're in the middle, you're constantly fighting to get up there. But a small mistake or two, poof, down you go. So that's the way family. I want people to understand that it's not all roses and flowers, but it's not always bad either. But by giving people an insight into families and how they function and issues that we will encounter as families, perhaps I can save people the misery that in some cases I encountered.
And on the point that you mentioned, reflecting on season one and season two, from my perspective, it seems that family businesses and the issues that come along with it come typically at a later stage. What do I mean by that? When you start a family business or when someone starts a family business, I don't know if everyone was planning to start a family business. They started it for themselves, and then as the generations grow on, the family came into the business. So it seems that family businesses are more reactionary than proactive. So should people, when they're launching a business, if they're thinking about it for a long term, for the generations to come, is there a way to be proactive and put all the things we've talked about in season one and season two in place before they arise? Or is just the reality of it that there are reactionary things that have to happen as the business adjusts?
When you're an entrepreneur or starting a business, you're not thinking along those lines, and you cannot. You can't afford it. It's just not something you should be doing. You should be focusing on creating and building and doing something of significance, because this is the time you have an opportunity. As you grow older, and let's say the business is more stable and then growing, it's there, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Then you should be looking at saying, okay, let's try to set up the rules and regulations and the policies and procedures and all the lovely stuff with the bells and whistles that I need for not generations to come, but for the next generation. And in order to do that, I need to bring the next generation and say, hey, by the way, what do you kids want? Or if the kids, whoever's the successor, what do you want? What are you looking for? And I shouldn't be so enamored and in love with my ideas that I force my idea into the throats of the next generation, because they're going to live their life, not mine. I've lived my life. I wanted to go right. I'm in the car. I'm driving the car. I want to go right. All the time, I want to go right. I'm no longer driving. And I say to my son or my daughter, you drive. They want to go left. Now, should I be angry with them? All my life I've gone right. You should all be going right. Or do I say, you know what? In my time when I was driving, I liked going right. So I went right. Now it's your turn. You're holding the steering wheel. You decide. If you do right, great. If you do left, great. If you're successful in the direction you're going, for you, good for you. If you fail, too bad for you. Don't come complain to me. Okay? My job is to give you all the tools, the equipment, to give you at least a chance to be successful, but not to control the next generation. I have seen people who, thank God for the Sharia on this aspect and inheritance, because you cannot do this. In the Islamic jurisprudence, you cannot control something beyond your life. Other jurisdictions, they allow you to control things beyond your life. So, for example, if you have in your will to the successor, in order for you to get this access to whatever, money, power, position, you have to go to this university. You have to have this job. You have to have this income. You have to marry that person. The person has to be from this family. You have to have this many kids. What if I don't fulfill all this criteria? What happens? This is why you shouldn't try to live your life and your children and grandchildren's life. Live your life. Do what's needed for you, what makes you happy, and what gives you the impetus for you to wake up and want to do more. That's great. But don't think about that. But what you do need to do is to say, okay, there is a transitional period between one generation and the next. I need to bring you, the next generation, who's going to, as I said, if it is the next generation, who's going to be the successor of this. You need to tell me what you need. I need to hear. Maybe there are things that you might be interested in, and I'm telling you, you're too hasty. Listen to me too. I want to listen to you, but you listen to me. And then we interact with one another. And eventually, if you're adamant on doing that, my job is to say, you know what? I'm giving it to you. What you do, your problem, not mine. You decide to fail, your problem. I tried. If that's what you want to do. If on the other hand, and some people do this, say, you know what? I build it, I take it with me. So they try everything to destroy the thing. You can't stop that, people. So the whole purpose in terms of trying to get the generation move from a business, from an entrepreneurial business to a family business to a generational succession plan, it's all dependent on the people. It's all dependent on how they interact. You want to give them the tools. You want to say you need to talk. You need to have communication methods open. Vehicles open. You need to have this type of methods of communication. You need to have this type of person, advisor in a family business advisor. You need to have a financial advisor. You need to have all the environment together. And when you have that, don't be belligerent to think, I know everything. I don't need this. I need all of them, and I need to have an open mind. And most important, I need to listen to one of the most important people in my life. And I'm talking to the man here. The most important person, it could be one or two, or both, depending. Your mother and your wife. They know you inside out. For love of God, when they tell you you're doing something wrong, please listen to them because they actually understand what you're doing might be wrong. I know you will go, no, you don't understand what I'm doing. Fine, say that. But go away and reconsider what they said. Because they're not telling you this to harm you. They're telling you this because they're seeing something you cannot see. Don't discount them, but listen to them. Again, you don't have to, you can be the macho person. But go back, think about what they said. And then if you are not quite sure about everything they say, go back and talk to them again. Listen to them. They might not know the nuances of your business per se, but they know you. And if it's a woman, I would say do the same thing again with your mother, your father, and your husband. You notice I didn't say go talk to your father.
I did.
Right. Because you and your father will most likely think alike. And he's going to tell you everything. Now, if he's a wise person, go and listen to him. But if he thinks exactly like you think, you already know what your father's going to tell you. So,
Okay. I think a key point you mentioned there was to build, in order for longevity, you have to build it yourself first, get it to a certain point, and then prepare for that transition. And one of the most important things about that transition is catering to the direction of where the next generation wants to go and providing them with the tools and the platform to achieve those goals. Now, reflecting on, coming back to just really quickly to season 1, we talked about how in a family business, when it comes to, for example, financial decisions, there are decisions that are good for the family and there are decisions that are good for the business.
yes.
So it seemed like from an outside perspective, when a decision, let's say I have a deal that's come to me, and this deal will either take us, the business, this way, or will take the family that way. Is it a balance, a consistent balance of sometimes it has to be business first over family, or do you have to incorporate the family into every business decision?
It depends on the family and how it's set up.
Okay.
If the family is very rigid, it usually ends up towards the business, and whatever the business's requirement, that takes priority. If it's more flexible, i.e., more generous with the family members, then it usually moves towards the family and whatever the family wants. It's not necessarily a generational issue, although as you get from the first generation and second generation, you're still much more flexible because you're much more interactive both with the family and the business, and you're interacting with one another as members. As you move to the third, fourth, and fifth, and so on, if you get that long, you need to start having more, what you call it, rules and regulations in terms of how you interact with one another. And the exceptions become exactly that, exceptions. So if there is a reason to go into this business, but it might harm the family, might harm the family's pocket, not the family, but harm the family's pocket. The question is, do I protect the business, which will keep on producing more, or do I protect the family, which this will benefit them, but I might be affecting the business going forward? Every family will have to make that decision themselves. Hopefully, if they sit and have a nice powwow and talk about these things, they'll have a better, clearer picture in terms of what benefits them. You don't want, there is no such thing as a one size fits all.
Sure.
You don't want to think, I only want the business has to function, and the business, if it's just the business, then you don't need the family. Forgive me. And if it's only the family, because we're humans, we're all going to be thinking about myself, I, and eventually the business ceases to exist. So, how do you interact with that? It's a very interesting balance. It's dependent on the family members. It's dependent on the leader. How does he or she bring things together? It's dependent on how much, in some cases, you need to take time to get consensus. Because the more consensus you have, the more buy-in you have, the more likely it'll last. In some cases, it's a threat that you need to make a quick decision, irrespective of what the family thinks. It had to happen. I took the decision. I live with the consequences. If it means it costs me my job, my position, c'est la vie, but I needed to get this done. So you need to, it depends on the type of leader you have and how they interact with family members.
So on that point, because as you said earlier in the conversation, now you're the chairman of one of the oldest and largest family-run businesses in the entire region. So, and talking about you probably in your tenure have had to make some pretty tough decisions on exactly what we're talking about, sometimes leading this way or that way, and bring it back to getting consensus of the family, I'm sure has been very crucial at lots of different moments. The question I have for you, Mishal, and you said this off camera earlier, is that you live this and you breathe it. So, but I know it. You have a massive responsibility on your shoulders, not just on the business side, but to the family as well. So the question I like to ask you, and someone in your position, is how do you manage the weight of that responsibility?
Um, Fortunately, the way we're set up, it's not uh, one person hopefully taking all the decisions. Um, the ethos that we have as a family, I should say had, is to sit together, talk, discuss things, interact, see what's better. Again, we look each one of these businesses as an independent entity, a legal entity, but us as a family, we are connected through blood, connected through our lives being together. So when a family member has an issue, hopefully, we try to see what we can best do. I must say, as it moves from my uncles down to my generation, which is the cousins consortium, it's become harder and harder because you don't have too many people who forgive. And we're less paying attention to the requirements of the individuals. Sorry, I don't mean individual. I don't mean as a person, but rather an elderly person's need, a family non management person. So the son of a shareholder is a family member who is not a shareholder nor is part of management, but still is a family member. Their needs might be brushed aside. You have in-laws coming in. You have children from who don't carry the same name. It's become harder and harder. I'm hoping that we as a family will try to touch on the softer aspects of the humanity of a family, and less on the rigid requirements of a family business. That said, you never know, and what comes from the next generation, you never know.
That's fair, and I think I understand that. And what you talked about what you talked about this season was the humanity that is important for any leader to bring into the family, because that's what will keep the family together. Otherwise, it's just a transactional thing that you can find in any other business. Now, you said for my last question, Mishal, you said when it comes to a family business, you're either at the top or you're at the bottom. So, but if I'm at the bottom, you said earlier in the conversation, you do have a choice. I can either stay or I can leave. But if let's say I'm at the bottom and I want to get to the top, what advice would you have for me to get there? What do I need to do?
It's the same thing. I think it would be this exact same thing you would do if you were in any other organization. The one thing people fail to do, it's just amazing how many. Do a bit of research. How hard is this? Educate yourself. I don't mean formal education, although that's useful. But educate yourself. Understand this nuances of this person. Understand what that person wants. Understand what this person is going to looking for. Understand what he or she is trying to achieve. Build that aspect. Make yourself important and significant to them. Not by saying, I am important. No, but because you're the one helping them, they can't help but want to help you back. But, hey, build that network. Help create people. Make them feel comfortable around you. Not that they're panicked about, oh my God, this guy's going to come take over my. No, no, no. I don't necessarily want to take over your place. I want to help you build because as you build, you grow. You're going to pull me up as well with you. I want to do that so that you're benefiting, I'm benefiting, he's benefiting, she's benefiting. I want to understand what causes you to make, what makes you happy. Okay, you want to take an extra 2 hours to have lunch. I'll cover for you. Not that hard. I need to build up this understanding. You want to go have a, no, use something I like them. You want to go have a cigar. Yeah, I'll go have a cigar with you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's maybe not something I really enjoy per se, but you enjoy it, and I want to enjoy it with you. I want you to feel that be comfortable with me. But again, if you're not genuine, it will show immediately.
That's so important.
So be genuine when you care about this person, and try to do this, and try to help this person, and try to be useful to this person, who does not appreciate when somebody is generous and kind with them. Again, going back to the imposter king, because a king, in any level, when you're kind with them or generous with them, they can't help but want to be more generous with you because they're not going to allow you, the underling, to be more generous than the king. It makes no sense. If you give me a gift as a gift could be a nice word, a gift could be a lunch, anything. If you're giving me a gift, and I'm the king, or at least I perceive in my head I'm the king, there's no way in hell I'm going to allow you to give me a gift, and I don't give you a gift back in return. Oh, and by the way, my gift is going to be significantly larger. That's how you build your rapport, and eventually, if you're really good at what you do, people pay attention to you. Again, I'm not saying be sneaky, cheat, lie. No. God, no. None of these things. But be good at what you're doing. You can only be good at what you do is through experience. Fail. A perfect way of learning. Fail. But don't fail and go, oh, no. Fail and then learn. What were the causes of me failing? Okay, X, Y, Z. Okay, let me try to erase Z. I might not be able to stop X and Y, but I'll erase Z. And then the next one is I'll erase Y. I'm learning so that I learn how to move this. So it's experience, it's education, it's interacting with people, learning, and help yourself, build yourself up. Don't fight people. People love to fight people. Oh my God, this is like it's like a thing we love to do. Don't fight people, except those who are nasty, and you will know them immediately. Don't let things bullies do pass. They shouldn't pass. Stand up for what you believe, your ethics, even if it costs you. And I say that because eventually, at that moment, it might cost you. But you know what? A lot of people pay attention and say, this guy has integrity. And if an opportunity happens, I might want him on board because this guy has integrity. So at that moment, it might cost you in your upward trajectory. But overall, God willing, inshallah, it will actually help you because people want to be surrounded with good people who actually care, who actually want to get things done, who actually want to progress things. Yes, we're all selfish and we all look out for ourselves. That's not an unusual situation. But it's a balance between what's good for me and what's good for everything around me. And if I need to give up sometimes, because of my integrity, because of my ethics, I need to give up something here for the betterment, I will do that. And I should do that. You're building yourself to become the king. All of this is training and educating to become the king. Learn.
I don't think there's anything else that we need to say on that. Mishal, thank you so much for another fantastic season. I don't have a family business yet. However, I have had the pleasure of sitting alongside you and learning from you. And thank you for showing us the realities of what a family business entails, because Just like just like I know people with family businesses, and no one talks about them the way you do. So thank you for shedding a light on the realities of it, and we will see you guys in the next season. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.